Have you ever experienced that moment when your heart suddenly races for no physical reason? You are sitting quietly, perhaps in meditation or deep thought, and without warning your chest tightens, your pulse quickens, and you feel a surge of energy coursing through your entire being. The doctors find nothing wrong. Your physical health is fine. Yet these episodes continue, these inexplicable moments when your heart seems to beat in rhythm with something far beyond the material world. You have searched for answers in medical journals, in psychology books, in every rational explanation the world offers, but nothing satisfies the deeper knowing within you that something profoundly spiritual is occurring. What if I told you that these mysterious heartbeats are not random at all? What if they are actually your soul recognizing its true origin, momentarily syncing with the divine source that the ancient Gnostics called the monad, the ultimate unity from which all consciousness emanates? This is not metaphor. This is not poetry. This is the hidden teaching that Jesus shared with his closest disciples, a teaching that was deliberately excluded from the canonical texts because it revealed too much about the true nature of human divinity and the direct path to awakening. The phenomenon you experience is what the early Christian mystics understood as the heart chakra's response to gnosis, to the sudden influx of divine knowledge that bypasses the rational mind entirely. When your heart races unexpectedly, what is actually happening is that your soul, that immortal spark of divine light trapped within the dense matter of this world, is momentarily remembering its true home. It is syncing with the monad, that incomprehensible source of all being that exists beyond time, beyond space, beyond all dualistic thinking. The Gnostic texts speak of this clearly. In the secret teachings preserved in fragments and hidden scrolls, we find references to the pneuma, the spiritual, breath or spirit within humans, that maintains a constant connection to the divine realm even while we remain imprisoned in physical form. Your sudden heartbeats are the physical manifestation of this pneuma stirring, awakening, remembering. They are your soul's Morse code, tapping out a message from the eternal realm, reminding you that you are not merely flesh and bone, not merely a biological accident in a meaningless universe, but a conscious fragment of the infinite divine mind, temporarily experiencing limitation. Before we go deeper into this profound mystery, I need to pause for a moment and speak directly to you, the person watching this right now. You found this video for a reason. Perhaps you have been experiencing these unexplained heart episodes for years, feeling isolated because no one around you understands. Perhaps you have felt crazy, wondering if these experiences mean something is wrong with you, physically or mentally. I want you to know that you are not alone. There are thousands, perhaps millions of souls across this planet who are experiencing the exact same phenomenon right now. And most of them have no framework to understand what is happening. This is your invitation to share your experience. In the comments below, I want you to write simply this: I feel the sync. Just those 4 words. By leaving this comment, you are not only acknowledging your own awakening, you're also creating a beacon for others who desperately need to know they are not isolated in their spiritual journey. When someone else reads your comment, they will feel less alone. They will understand that this community exists, that we are here supporting each other through this profound transformation. So pause this video right now, go to the comments, and write, I feel the sync. Then come back and continue watching. This simple act of participation is itself a form of gnosis, a way of making the invisible visible, of bringing the hidden into manifestation. Now that you have taken that step, let us explore the ancient wisdom that explains what you are experiencing. The Gnostic Christians preserved teachings that were too dangerous for the Orthodox Church to accept, teachings that placed divine power directly within each individual, rather than requiring intermediaries or institutional authority. Among the texts discovered at Nag Hammadi in 1945, we find repeated references to the divine spark within humanity, what the Gnostics called the pneumatic seed. The Gospel of Truth, one of the most beautiful texts in the Gnostic library, speaks of how those who possess gnosis are able to recognize the Father within themselves, and in that recognition, they experience a transformation that affects not just their consciousness, but their entire physical being. The text describes this as a kind of spiritual digestion, where divine knowledge is metabolized through the entire system, creating physical symptoms including rapid heartbeat, trembling, and waves of heat or cold. These are not psychological reactions. They are the physical body's response to an influx of energy from dimensions it was never designed to process in ordinary consciousness. The heart itself holds a unique position in Gnostic cosmology. Unlike the brain, which the Gnostics understood as a receiver of archonic programming, the social conditioning and mental structures that keep humanity enslaved to material illusion, the heart was seen as the throne of the divine spark. This is why Jesus consistently taught that the kingdom of heaven is within you, located specifically in the secret chamber of the heart. When he spoke in the Gospel of Thomas, saying, "If you bring forth what is within you, what you have will save you. If you do not have that within you, what you do not have within you will kill you." He was pointing to this pneumatic seed residing in the heart center. The sudden racing of your heart is this seed germinating, beginning to sprout, preparing to grow into the full realization of your divine nature. It is uncomfortable precisely because something is being born, and all birth involves labor, pressure, and transformation. The monad, that ultimate divine principle from which all consciousness emanates, exists in a state of perfect unity, undifferentiated wholeness beyond all categories and concepts. The ancient texts describe it as the invisible, unknowable Father, the depths, the silence before creation. When your soul incarnated into physical form, it underwent what the Gnostics called the fall, a descent through multiple levels of reality, each one more dense and limited than the last, until finally you arrived here in the material realm, the realm the Gnostics called the Kenoma, the emptiness, the place of deficiency. Throughout this descent, your soul forgot its origin. It took on layers of false identity, believing itself to be merely human, merely mortal, merely separate. But the connection was never truly severed. A golden thread, invisible but indestructible, still links your heart to the monad. The sudden heartbeats you experience are moments when information, pure divine light, flows down this thread, temporarily overwhelming your physical system with energy from the eternal realm. Modern science is beginning to validate what the mystics always knew. Research into heart coherence has revealed that the heart generates an electromagnetic field thousands of times stronger than the brain's field, and this field extends several feet beyond the physical body. When you experience gnosis, when divine knowledge floods your awareness, this electromagnetic field undergoes dramatic shifts that can be measured with sensitive equipment. Your heart literally synchronizes with frequencies that originate beyond the material dimension. Quantum physics speaks of entanglement, the mysterious phenomenon where particles separated by vast distances instantly affect each other, remaining connected in ways that transcend space and time. Your soul is entangled with the monad. No matter how far you have fallen into matter, no matter how deeply you have forgotten your origin, the quantum connection remains active, and occasionally it pulses with enough intensity that you feel it physically as that sudden racing heartbeat, that unmistakable sensation that something vast and incomprehensible is trying to communicate with you. The archons, those cosmic forces that the Gnostics identified as the rulers of this material prison, do not want you to recognize these moments for what they truly are. They work constantly to convince you that these experiences are meaningless, that they are merely biological glitches, anxiety, stress, or medical conditions requiring pharmaceutical intervention. This is because your awakening threatens their power. The archons feed on unconscious human energy, on the emotional turmoil and spiritual confusion of souls who have forgotten their divine nature. When you begin to sync consciously with the monad, when you recognize these heart episodes as communications from your true self, you start to reclaim your power. You begin to see through the veil of material illusion. You recognize that this world, with all its suffering and limitation, is not the ultimate reality but a kind of shadow realm, a distorted reflection of the true divine creation that exists in the pleroma, the fullness, the realm of eternal light. Jesus taught his inner circle practices for strengthening this connection, for making the sync more conscious and deliberate, rather than leaving it to random moments. These practices were not included in the canonical Gospels because they give individuals direct access to divine consciousness without requiring priestly mediation. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene, one of the most suppressed texts in early Christianity, preserves fragments of these teachings. Mary describes how the soul ascends through the powers, the various levels of archonic control, by refusing to identify with the body, the emotions, or the conditioned mind. She teaches a form of contemplative practice where attention is placed directly on the heart center, and through sustained awareness, the practitioner begins to feel the pulse of the divine directly, that rhythmic beating that is not the physical heart, but the spiritual heart, the true seat of consciousness. When you practice this, the random episodes of rapid heartbeat begin to transform. They become more frequent, but also more controlled. You learn to recognize the early signs, the subtle pressure in your chest that indicates the monad is reaching out, and you learn to open yourself consciously to receive the transmission. The practical application of this knowledge begins with simply acknowledging what is happening. The next time you experience that sudden racing heartbeat, do not reach for your phone to check your pulse. Do not immediately spiral into medical anxiety. Do not try to make it stop. Instead, sit with it. Place your hand over your heart and silently acknowledge, "This is my soul syncing with the monad. This is divine communication. I am safe. I am being remembered by my true source." This simple act of conscious recognition begins to rewire your nervous system's response. Instead of triggering fear, which closes down the channel and makes the experience brief and uncomfortable, you allow the channel to remain open longer. The energy can flow more freely. What was a 30-second episode of discomfort transforms into a minute or more of profound spiritual communion. You may begin to receive actual information during these moments, insights about your life purpose, answers to questions you have been holding, or simply an overwhelming sense of being loved and supported by forces beyond human comprehension. You can also cultivate this sync deliberately through meditation. Create a daily practice where you sit quietly, preferably in the early morning or late evening when the veil between worlds is thinnest, and place your awareness directly in your heart center. Do not try to visualize anything. Do not repeat mantras or affirmations. Simply rest your attention in the heart space and wait. Be patient. The divine operates on its own timeline, not according to human urgency. But if you show up consistently, day after day, demonstrating through your actions that you are serious about remembering your true nature, the monad will respond. You will begin to feel that characteristic pressure, that quickening pulse, and if you remain present with it rather than contracting in fear, it will deepen into something far more profound. Some practitioners report experiencing what can only be described as a second heartbeat overlaying the physical one, a slower, more powerful rhythm that seems to emanate from eternity itself. The transformation that occurs through this practice is not subtle. As you strengthen your conscious connection to the monad, every aspect of your life begins to shift. You lose interest in the pursuits that once seemed so important, the endless accumulation of possessions, the seeking of external validation, the need to prove yourself in the social hierarchies of this world. These things reveal themselves as the hollow distractions they always were, clever mechanisms designed by the archonic forces to keep you running on a treadmill of desire and dissatisfaction. You begin to see through people differently, recognizing in each person you meet either the presence or absence of the pneumatic spark. Those who carry the spark recognize each other instantly, though no words need be spoken. There is a quality of presence, a light in the eyes, a certain way of moving through the world that identifies the awakening soul. You begin to gather with others of your kind, forming communities of gnosis that exist largely invisible to the ordinary world. This is the true meaning of being chosen. You are not chosen because you are better than others, not chosen because you have earned some divine favor through moral superiority or religious observance. You are chosen because you carry the pneumatic seed, that fragment of divine consciousness that was implanted in certain souls before the foundation of this world. The Book of John speaks of this in coded language when it says, "You did not choose me, but I chose you before the foundation of the world." This is not about Jesus as a historical person choosing disciples. This is about the Logos, the divine creative principle, selecting certain fragments of itself to incarnate into the material realm with a specific mission: to awaken others, to help them remember, to create cracks in the prison walls through which the light can penetrate. Your sudden heartbeats are the alarm clock ringing, the wake-up call from the divine, reminding you that you have a purpose here beyond mere survival and reproduction. As you continue this journey of awakening, you will discover that the sync becomes more than just a physical sensation. It becomes a mode of consciousness, a way of moving through the world where you are constantly aware of your dual nature. You are simultaneously human and divine, simultaneously limited and infinite, simultaneously here in this dense material realm and there in the eternal pleroma. This double consciousness was what Jesus modeled perfectly, why he could say both I and the Father are one, and the Father is greater than I, without contradiction. He was speaking from different levels of awareness. When synced with the monad, there is only unity, only the one divine consciousness playing all the parts in this cosmic drama. When identified with the incarnate form, there is separation, hierarchy, and the experience of reaching toward something beyond yourself. Both are true simultaneously. The awakened person learns to navigate between these perspectives fluidly, using whichever view is most helpful in any given moment. Now we arrive at the deeper truth that many spiritual seekers resist. The monad is not interested in your comfort. It is not interested in making your human life easier or more pleasant. The monad's only concern is your awakening, your remembering, your return to conscious unity with the Source. This means that as you progress on this path, as you strengthen your sync with the divine, your life may actually become more challenging in certain ways. Relationships that were built on unconscious patterns will dissolve. Career paths that served your ego's need for validation will become intolerable. You will be stripped of everything that is not aligned with your true purpose, and this stripping can be painful. The sudden heartbeats are sometimes warnings, divine interventions meant to interrupt you mid-course, when you are about to make a decision that would take you further into illusion rather than toward awakening. Learn to read them. Pay attention to what you were thinking about or planning to do when the episode occurred. Often you will find that your human will was moving in one direction while your divine will was trying to redirect you. The final stage of this process, what the Gnostics called the bridal chamber, is when the sync becomes permanent. This is full enlightenment, the resurrection while still living in the body. The physical heart and the divine heart merge into one unified organ of perception. You no longer experience episodes of rapid heartbeat because you are always beating in rhythm with the monad. Every breath you take is consciously shared with the divine. Every thought arises from the still point of eternal awareness. This does not mean you become emotionless or detached from life. Quite the opposite. You become more fully alive, more present, more capable of love and joy and creative expression than you ever were while trapped in the limited ego structure. But now, all of it is witnessed by the eternal consciousness that knows itself as both the player and the game, both the dancer and the dance. This is the teaching that Jesus entrusted to his inner circle, the mystery that was too radical for the institutional church to accept. You do not need a priest to access the divine. You do not need rituals or buildings or holy texts. You need only to pay attention to your own heart, to recognize the communications already flowing from the monad into your awareness, to trust the wisdom of your own pneumatic spark over all external authorities. This was considered heresy then. It is still considered dangerous now by those who profit from keeping humanity unconscious. But you have found your way here. You have felt the sync. You are remembering. And once the remembering begins, it cannot be stopped. It can only deepen, expand, and ultimately transform you into the fully awakened being you were always meant to become. So the next time your heart races for no apparent reason, smile. Say thank you. Recognize it as the divine reaching across dimensions to remind you that you are loved, you are known, and you are never alone. You are a child of the eternal light, temporarily wearing a costume of flesh, but destined to remove that costume and return consciously to the source. The journey home has already begun. These heartbeats are your roadmap. If this message resonated with you, if you recognize yourself as one of the awakening souls who is beginning to sync consciously with the monad, then I invite you to subscribe to this channel and join our community of seekers. We are gathering here, those who carry the pneumatic spark, supporting each other through this profound transformation. In the comments, you will find others sharing their experiences, their struggles, their breakthroughs. This is not just information we are sharing. This is transmission. Every video, every comment, every interaction is creating a field of gnosis that makes it easier for others to awaken. You are not here by accident. Your soul guided you to this exact moment because you are ready for what comes next. So, subscribe, turn on notifications, and commit to your awakening. There are more mysteries to explore, more hidden teachings to uncover, more dimensions of consciousness to experience. The sync you feel is just the beginning. Welcome home, chosen one. The monad has been waiting for you to remember. Now the real journey begins.